We're live with Mick Gillispie. Go ahead, Mick. Take it away, buddy.
Hey, what is everybody? Welcome into our Sunday night call-in show. We do this on BamaInsider, the BamaInsider YouTube channel. You know about us. We cover the Crimson Tide like no other. And this is the night where you get to call in and you get to sound off on the game that we saw yesterday. But look, before we throw out the number, before we invite you to call in, I want to remind you guys to hit the thumbs up. I know that you know that I know that you're going to do that, but I got to ask you anyway, right? Hit the bell too. Subscribe to the channel. This channel has just absolutely exploded. I mean, it's crazy the growth that you guys have given this channel since I started. And Kyle has been putting this thing together for a long time. So Kyle's going to be on here tonight. We're going to do this 205-850-0883. And I know, Kyle, that you want to talk about that game from last night. Alabama, a winner, 31-29. It was kind of a tale of two different games. Alabama owned the first quarter. They let Florida back in it, and Florida's crowd and the enthusiasm that the Gators played with in that game got them back in it. But Alabama led the entire time and won the game.
Yeah, and look, Sean's like, he's ready to go, man. So, Sean, if you want to lead off, man, you call up, man. I know Jarek's going to call in, and we got Sean. So, yeah, thank you very much for joining us, everyone. We appreciate you guys coming to you on Sunday night after Alabama's 31-29 victory. And as you said, Mick, I mean, it was quite interesting. You know, Alabama gets off to this hot start, 21-3. Kind of recap the scores real quick. Jace McCullough on a 7-yard pass from Bryce Young puts Alabama up 7-0, and then Florida fires back with a field goal. Alabama comes back, and we see Jaleel Billingsley. Now, and if you watch the college sports book, I was telling you, put Jaleel Billingsley on your showdown slate team, right? Billingsley catches a 26-yard pass from Bryce Young. The ball was thrown right on the money. And we'll talk about Bryce's downfield accuracy and kind of point out some stats. In fact, I have the Pro Football Focus grades as well that we'll put on the screen here in just a moment. And then Brian Robinson with a 7-yard pass from Bryce Young. So Alabama's up 21-3. Mick, then Florida starts to make a comeback.
Yeah, well, what happened was Alabama got the ball back, and they didn't do anything with it. 3 and out, gave it back to Florida. 3 and out, gave it back to Florida. And you could kind of, I'll give Florida fans a lot of credit because they never got out of the game. There was never a loss of intensity. And all of a sudden, Florida towards the end of the second quarter started to build some momentum. They started to score and make things interesting, although Bama did cover the first half the first half score, by the way, for all of you gamblers out there, which they seem to do every week. Florida made things really interesting, and then all of a sudden in the second half, here they come again, and you realize that this was a football game.
Yeah, I think that, when you step back and look at this game and I want to get your guys' opinions inside the comment boxes. How do you feel about, what you saw from the defensive perspective and who are you pointing the finger at, right? Are you pointing the finger at just Pete Golding specifically? Are you pointing the finger at the defense as a whole? Are you pointing the finger at somebody else? I mean, are you, what went wrong? I mean, obviously, when you look at the stats and you see that Florida rushed for, a grand total, I think it was like 258 yards or something like that, including that 99-yard drive that was painstaking to watch because Florida just continued to move the football. Yeah, it was 258 yards off 43 rushing attempts. Tell you what, if Florida can throw the football, they win the game. So, I think when you look to the overall game book, and I'll get that to you in just a second, Mick, there's a lot of kind of, things to take away from this game. But I think specifically the defense, people certainly want, answers, and they want them now as we go into week 4.
Yeah, I mean, and that was kind of I don't know, like it didn't feel like a win, even though they won the game. But it didn't feel like a loss either. It just felt like an opportunity for this team to learn and get better. And I think that our expectations for Alabama are that you're going to blow out every team that you play, right? This was a really good football team. They were really good last year. They lost some pieces, but you know what? They came out and they found a wrinkle that worked against Alabama. And it really started with with the option, kind of going old school. And this is something that we saw when Dan Mullen was at Mississippi State. Like he's able to kind of take advantage of the option, and Alabama wasn't disciplined. They missed a lot of tackles, and I got to give Florida and Emory Jones a ton of credit. I mean, he did his thing, right? He did his thing. I mean, like, that's his game. He's going to run. He's going to throw some. He's not a super passer, but he played a really, really good game against Alabama. I also thought that William Anderson looked a little bit pedestrian. Maybe he's still a little banged up with the knee. The pass rush at times was there, at times it wasn't. And Florida has some guys that can catch the football, and that's what they did. So, I mean, like, look, at the end of the day, if you win by 1 point, you won the game, right? But the good thing that I keep going back to is that all of this is going to do is get Alabama, those players, closer to paying attention to what Nick Saban is selling them. And then they'll improve based off of, the fact that they were in a game like this, because now they know that they can lose.
Yeah, definitely. You hit on some good points there. I don't necessarily agree with the William Anderson. I thought William Anderson, I mean, considering that chop block that he suffered against Mercer, I thought, he did fine. And, we'll actually, let's put the grades on the screen and look at the grades, because I think the grades tell a great story. And we'll take your calls in just a moment. The call line is at the bottom of the screen, 205-850-0883. I think that the grades, and let me explain the grades, because I think there's a lot of new people that might just have joined or found out about our channel. So Pro Football Focus is made up of former coaches at the highest level, NFL, college. Those former coaches linked up with Pro Football Focus, they watch the game and they grade the players out individually after each game. So anything over an 85% is fantastic. I mean, and they're harsh. I mean, I'm telling you, the game against Miami where Bryce Young sizzled and was on fire, when they broke it down, I think he was only like a 70% or something like that. Now against Mercer, he was like a 90. So, really? When you get more snaps, the grades get better. So let's kind of take a look at the snaps and kind of look at the grades overall and dive into it. And then, of course, we'll take your calls. But look, don't freak out, okay? The defensive and the offensive grades are the lowest that I've seen from Alabama since covering the team. It's expected. It wasn't the prettiest game. So don't be shocked when I show you this next screen starting in 3, 2, 1, okay? So let me walk you through the screen, and thank you very much for the super chat. And we got Jarek on the line. Jarek, hang tight. Let me go through these grades really quick, and then we'll hear from Jarek, one of our top callers from Buffalo. And I know he's excited because, he's a Buffalo Bills fan as well. Okay, so when you look at the totals, the totals in the middle of the screen, that's the number of snaps. Now, not all the players are listed here. And on the far right of the screen is going to be the overall grade from the players. Again, these aren't Alabama coaches' grades. These are Pro Football Focus grades, okay? There are some adjustments on these grades that take place throughout the week, but these are the grades that are fresh, hot, and ready. So when you look at the two inside linebackers, that is very concerning, clearly. 43.5 and 42.4. I have never seen grades that low from Alabama inside linebackers. Okay?
Really?
I have not seen it. I haven't. DeMarco Helms, safety, Jordan Battle, he's a strong safety, 56 and 60. Now, clearly those are not, grades that you want to lean on in your secondary, especially against a quarterback that I don't think is even top 6 in the SEC. Mm-hmm. Now Emory Jones did a great job considering what he had to work with and kind of his talent level. But I mean, Matt Corral, my goodness, did you see what did he account for, like 9 touchdowns or something like that?
Yeah.
And he's good. So let's kind of go through the grades real quick, and then we'll bring Jarek on and kind of get his take on the defense. Josh Jobe, 60.7, and Jalen Armour Davis, 72.3. Now, a lot of people pointing fingers, and they're calling out, Josh Jobe and Armour Davis and stuff like that. Well, remind you, look, yes, Pete Golding is the defensive coordinator, but Nick Saban is also a defensive-minded coach, and it's Coach Nick Saban that works with the secondary every single day, and specifically with the corners every single day. So, it's a defense as a whole. I don't think when you're out there, you can point to one specific person because it is a team sport on the defensive side, but we want to get your take, and, why don't we welcome in Jarek to the show?
All right. Yeah. I love that, by the way, Kyle. It's pretty cool. Just kind of having that on there where you can look and, and kind of get the feel of what the experts say. And I guess William Anderson had a pretty decent day. And the funny thing is, like, him being banged up and he's still that good, like unbelievable. All right, let's get to the phones right now. And guys, hold on. We're going to talk to all of you tonight. So be patient. Jarek, what's up?
What's going on, Mick? What's going on, Kyle? How y'all fellas been doing?
Great, man. Good to hear your voice.
Yeah, man, I miss it. I miss calling into the show. Let me tell you something, man. I got a lot to say, man, so let's get into it. So this is the first thing I got to say about this game. I will give Florida a lot of credit for this game because they came and they fought us toe-to-toe. They didn't quit. A lot of teams will quit down 21-3, but this team, this crowd first of all, the crowd was absolutely amazing. We got to give a lot of credit to this crowd. The atmosphere was incredible. The players, the coaching staff that Dan Mullen provided fuel to this team was absolutely incredible. And I wish nothing but the best for the Florida Gators. But I agree with Nick Saban. The intensity, the fire, the drive was missing for this football team. And, it was extremely reminiscent to last year against Ole Miss, where, where you felt like this was a team that was it was lacking something. Was it leadership? Was it drive? I mean, it was something wasn't there. And it wasn't until the second half of the Georgia game where something clicked to their mental psyche, and that's where they really started to turn. And you really started to see a combination of youthfulness start to turn to experience for this team. And that is where you really saw the turn of the table for this Alabama Crimson Tide team win the national title back in 2020. I'm glad that this happened today, guys. I'm glad that it happened. Well, not today, but I'm glad that it happened yesterday because I would rather happen against Florida, against a team that, even though it's a prideful team, it's a really, really good, hard-fighting team, they're nowhere near as good offensively as Ole Miss coming up in about a couple weeks, guys. That Ole Miss offense is for real. And listen, I'm not saying that Ole Miss is the next, Alabama dynasty, but we all know what Lane Kiffin can do. He is one of the best offensive architects out there. He is a phenomenal mastermind when it comes to going at some of the best defense in the country. Matt Corral is one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. They have a great receiving core. They have a great two-headed monster with Scott Connor and Jerron Ely. And I would rather happen it against Florida where these guys can learn from their mistakes than to do it against Ole Miss a couple weeks at home and we can embarrass ourselves and we'll be in another shootout type of game. So I'm glad that this happened against Saturday and hopefully we'll shape up against Ole Miss in a couple weeks.
Look, Ole Miss is ready, man. I'm getting texts from my buddies in Oxford that are coming to town that they think they have a chance to beat Alabama. And look, they played it was them and Florida last year that played the two best games against Alabama. I think Florida was the one where I was watching going, okay, I think that this team could possibly beat Alabama. And it was just because Ole Miss's defense was so bad. But I got to give, I got to give them credit too. I mean, they're going to score a bunch of points on Alabama. Matt Corral's great. Kiffin just has this team dialed in and believing. They took Tulane and just cracked them in half. This is the same Tulane team that went to Oklahoma and had a chance with the football down 5 at the end of the game to possibly win, right? And they had no chance. Yeah. But I think you're right about this. Kyle, you jump in too. But I think that was the perfect time for Alabama to have a game like this because it's a great opponent. It's a tough environment. And they persevered. The thing you hate is that you would rather them kind of have their best football at the end of the game and not the beginning, just for, momentum speaking. But even with that said, it doesn't matter. You won the game. And I feel like Alabama's going to do a much better job against the old school option, which is what killed them last game, next time around. They're going to pay attention to it. They're going to watch it. They're going to know it. We've seen them struggle with this in the past, and I think that next time around they're going to have that figured out. Although I'm not looking at Lane Kiffin to do a whole lot. He'll probably try it a little bit, but he's going to throw the football a lot.
Hey, Jack, what's up, man? I appreciate you calling in, and if you're on the line, hang on in there. We'll get to you right here at BamaInsider.com. The call-in number 205-850-0883 on the line with Jarek from Buffalo.
Hey, Meg, is Kyle talking?
Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah,
I can hear him. Can you guys hear Kyle?
Can you not hear me, Jarek?
Okay. I can't hear Kyle on my end. I can hear you, but I can't hear.
Well, Kyle was
end.
just basically saying, and I don't know why you can't hear him, but he was basically just saying, "Hey, look, we're, glad that you called in, and for the rest of you guys, hold tight. We're going to get to you, and we appreciate all of you guys being here. But the rest of you guys, can you just give me somebody in the comments? Can you hear Kyle when he talks? I'm sure you can, right? It's probably just the way that the phone lines are set up, Kyle.
Yeah, probably so, unfortunately. Anyways, Jarek, we appreciate you, man. So thank you very much. Mick will relay that back to Jarek. But I think I also want to kind of switch to the offense. So tell Jarek that we're switching to the offense. We'll kind of have a better setup next time. I'm not sure why the phone lines are like this. Tell him we're switching to the offense real quick.
Yeah, Jarek, we're going to switch to offense real quick. And I think that's where Kyle's going right now. And look, there it is. Pro Football Focus. I gotta love this right here. I mean, like, guys, this is next level stuff, right? It's like having our own scouting department led by Kyle Henderson.
All right. So and Mick, for the people who are online, they can't hear me. So it's probably the mixer issue. So I'm not sure how to mitigate that. But let me kind of dive into kind of these grades real quick on the offensive side of the ball, and then we'll get some more takes inside the comment box and on the phone lines as well. So once again, the grades are to the far right of the screen, and then the total, which represents a total number of snaps that the player did play. The star represents if the player was a starter. There might be more than 11, but sometimes, if Alabama has a couple different people on the first drive, that's how it kind of works out. So you start at the top and you look at Bryce Young, and he has a grade of 62.6, right? And then you kind of pair that up with the stats, and I think that's it's an interesting grade to look at, because I thought there was times that he definitely was not accurate. I think he didn't do well, on some of those deep ball situations, underthrown ball or whatever you have it. But look, this is the first time that he goes into the swamp. And I thought overall, like from a collective standpoint, he did do a good job. I mean, even Coach Saban said that after the game, that he did a good job. I mean, 22 of 35, 233 yards, 3 touchdowns. He was sacked twice. This is the first time that I really saw him get tagged. They came out after him very hard, and he popped right back up. And I thought he did a great job. Once again, not forcing throws and not making bad mistakes, right? Not forcing the football. 9 touchdowns through 3 games with 0 interceptions. So when we kind of go down these offensive grades as well, there's nothing really that jumps out that's outstanding. I mean, you can look at Evan Neal, who has the best grade overall, which is a 70.7. I've never seen this overall from an Alabama offense. I just haven't seen it. These are just the lowest grades that literally I've ever seen from an Alabama offense. You look at the wide receiver grades. John Mechie, 60.3. Jamison Williams, 65.2. Slade Bolden, 53.3. He's got a catch. Now he's dropped 2 touchdown passes from Bryce Young in the last 2 seasons. You haven't seen that before. I thought there was some times where I felt the wide receivers might have been a little bit more physical. But before we get to our next calls, let me show you Bryce Young's passing chart. This is really interesting stuff. So Bryce Young's passing chart right here. And how this works is at the top columns at the top, it's over 20 yards. Okay. In the center, it's 10 yards plus. And then underneath that, it's kind of like dump offs and swing passes, right? So across the middle of the field, under 10 yards, he was 8 of 10. Very effective, 95 yards. I thought there was one particular RPO where he was behind the receiver. But you look at that downfield, over 20 yards. He didn't take very many shots, but he was 0 for 1 to the outside right, 0 for 1 between the numbers, and 1 for 1. That's a touchdown to Jaleel Billingsley, right? Above 10 yards across the middle, not as effective, 2 of 7. So when you kind of look to, kind of the passing tree and how everything went, he still sizzled out a nice game. And I think the Heisman odds and all that, outside noise is still going to favor Bryce. But that was a big game, and he went down the swamp and took care. So, eager to kind of get your guys' take on the offense, because I know a lot of people now are starting to call for Bill O'Brien as well.
I'll tell you one thing, Kyle. I mean, looking at that, it doesn't surprise me at all, because Ekiyor, Owings, Cohen, 3 guys that I didn't think had good games, and then these grades show out. And I'm wondering, how long until some of these other guys that have come in Latham and Brockermeyer, you know, they're top-notch guys that are 5-stars would be playing anywhere else, are going to push for playing time. The offensive line seemed like it really got overwhelmed at points in the games. At the beginning of the game, they looked really good, and then all of a sudden, it just looked like, you know, Bryce Young was back there running for his life, and he kind of bailed him out a lot with his feet.
Hey, Mick, I'm actually going to log into the call-in, so I'm going to step away for just a second. You take the next call. I'm going to see if I can log in as well and then bring some callers in on my side. So I'll be right back in, a few minutes. So take this next call.
All right. Well, Jarek, you want to any final thoughts on the offense before we head to the next call?
Yeah. I would just say this is that, let's give a lot of credit to their defense, because they did a great job of disguising the coverages. They did a great job disguising coverages, giving Bryce Young a lot of looks that he's kind of never seen before. I do feel like Bill O'Brien's got to, I think it's all about experience. I think it's all about experience in that type of aspect. I think Bill O'Brien's got to do a little bit of a better job, maybe adjusting a little bit, maybe giving Bryce Young a little bit more tips on that aspect. But, the offensive line needs to improve. The offensive line definitely needs to get better. We got to remember that this is not the same offensive line how it was from last year, how it was, it was an All-American offensive line. And now you got experience. You got Darren Delcourt playing center. You got Chris Owens playing out of position. And for the most part, Emil Ekiyor, probably the only person that you wouldn't expect him to have that bad of a game. You would expect him to be better, to be a lot more improved compared to what I was last year. But maybe that was because, again, he played with a very great offensive line, and the continuity and chemistry he had with those guys, maybe it's going to take a little bit more time for Chris, for kind of that entire offensive line to really gel. But they played against a defensive line that is equal to the same personnel that Alabama's offensive line is. There's a lot of 5-stars in that defensive line. And I feel like this is great experience for this offensive line to kind of really find their strengths, their weaknesses, what they need to do in order for these guys to really gel, find that continuity. But it's just, for the most part, offensively, we got to get better, of course. But, our receivers, I feel like they were, at fault. The timing was a little bit off there from their routes.
Right.
Florida's defensive backs were extremely physical, especially on the outside, especially when it came to jamming them and really throwing them out of the routes, really messing up the timing between the quarterback and the receivers on certain specific routes. It's just, Florida is just a very physical defense. And we, for the most part, we might not see a defense. But I honestly feel like A&M is probably the only closest team that can match, that physicality for the rest of our schedule. So I feel like, again, just like how I implemented a little bit earlier, is that this needed to happen now. Everything that happened, whether it was our second half blunders, the miscues, the missed gap assignments on defense, the miscommunication between our offensive line, Bryce Young really not setting and calling the right protection for himself. Whether Bryce Young, there were certain situations where he easily could have took off and really help out this offense.
Yeah,
giving the drives, and he didn't really do it because he tried to extend the plays and make big plays. He's going to learn. This offense is going to learn. And again, I understand, people are concerned based off of our performance, but I feel like overall wise, this needed to happen now. I feel like it happened the right time. And now that people are now going to underestimate the Tide and say that, hey, this team is really beatable, I feel like Nick Saban's going to really get that message down to his players, and I feel like they're going to step up to the challenge.
Yeah, I agree. Can you hear Kyle now?
Can you hear me, Jarek?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right, cool.
There you go.
We switched some stuff around in the back area, man. Hey, Jarek, well, thank you so much for calling in, man. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. You always bring such great stuff to the show, man. So good to rap with you again, and we'll catch up with you next time.
All right, guys. Have a good night, man.
Take it easy, buddy.
Thanks, Jarek. Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah, he's right too. I mean, look, I talked about this last night, Kyle. Bryce sometimes going to have to take off and run, I mean, and I know that they don't want him to get hurt, but there were a lot of times where, he threw the football and he could have ran and maybe gotten the first down at the end of the game. He could have ran and got the touchdown. And then, it ended up being an incomplete pass, called out of bounds, and back, penalty kick, field goal instead of a touchdown. You score a touchdown there, the game's over. It doesn't really matter what Florida does. You're not looking at trying to stop them in the 2-point conversion. You're not worried about it. But you know what? Hey, the field goal was good, and I'll tell you, like, it's nice having a field goal kicker you can rely on too, because if he misses that field goal, Alabama loses the game.
Yeah, call line is open, 205-850-0883. We'll definitely get to you and take the next call right now. But Mick Gillispie is going to be here, and happy to be joining you on Sunday evening. I know there's some can't hear Mick. Now he's saying he can't hear Mick on the phone. Huh. Interesting. Well, let's see. Let's take this next caller and see if we can mitigate these issues. So, Mick, maybe disconnect from the line, and then we'll see if we can figure it out that way. Okay. All right. Good evening. Here on the line with Kyle Henderson, Mick Gillispie. Who are we on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
That's Robert from Mobile.
Hey, Robert. What's up, buddy? Mick, can you hear Robert?
I can hear Robert. Can you hear me, Robert?
I don't think.
I
can
hear Mick talking. If he's talking, I can hear.
Okay, all right. So now this is just you and I, Robert.
You just reversed it, Kyle.
Oh goodness. All right, Robert, go ahead. What did you learn from that game? Were you nervous at the end? Were you mad? Did you go to the message board and say something mean about Pete Golding that you regretted this morning? Come on, give it to me. I want to hear kind of your take on this Alabama team. And by the way, remember, fans, Alabama won the game. I just want to remind you. Maybe we should put a banner at the bottom of the screen, but Alabama did win the game.
You might want to put a banner at the bottom of the screen. You left out one option. You left out all of the above as my option. So all of the above is what my answer would be. It was. You want to start believing in Pete Golding and the defense. And first, if there wasn't much hype in the offseason about this defense, we probably wouldn't have gotten expectations so high. And the first two games were pretty good, especially against Miami. But although we're starting to see how Miami, maybe they weren't all that good to begin with anyway. But then when we get to this game, it's the same with the Ole Miss game last year. It's how we look. The defense completely failed the eye test. When they're bad, everything, they look horrible. And that's always the problem. It's, when you got teams rushing up the middle, the same with Ole Miss. The middle was just wide open. We were out physical, and it was beginning to be a sad song after a while. Mm-hmm. And then you look when we're trying to run and how that middle's all plugged, and our running backs couldn't gash them, but they could gash us every time. The second half, the defense looked like it was just checked out. You go to look for them, and there's a vacancy in the room. And once Bryce Young's brilliant play down the stretch, it could have been a pretty bad situation for us, and that was the eye test is what kept getting us. So you can't give up that many yards in the SEC running the ball and have a whole lot of success, especially up the middle. Now, they were running reverses and triple options and all that. That's one thing. But no, it's just guys run up the middle and you're being gashed. And if it wasn't a run up the middle, it would be a pass across the middle to the tight end. How many times did we see that in the game? That was because our defense gets to look like, okay, it's the same thing over and over again. Where's the answer now? And if the game's over and you never saw an answer, we just got lucky for the stop when they went for the 2-point conversion. That's what drives us crazy about Pete Golding. When it's bad, it really looks bad. It looks horrible. And it's like. And is this is a Big 12 defense I'm looking at right now? and there are teams that are going to Auburn can run the ball well. Arkansas can run the ball. It's just as good as Florida. Georgia maybe, and Ole Miss. Thank God. I'm so happy the game is not next weekend. This next game against Southern Miss, guys, I'm going to see 300 yards rushing by Alabama to at least 300 yards. And greater than whatever this point, we need to be UMS by 50 points or better. They need to get that mojo back. It got lost, and it's the eye test looked horrible, and that's what the problem is. It's one thing to be bad. It's another thing to look bad, and they looked bad.
On the line with Robert from Mobile, Alabama, here on the Sunday Night Call-In Show with Mick Gillispie. My name is Kyle Henderson. Please hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. We sincerely appreciate you guys being on. Call-in line is at the bottom of the screen, 205-850-0883. Mick, we'll get your take in just a minute. Wanted to put a comment up on the screen. Someone said, Kyle, it's not just about the W. It's kind of how everything went. So here's that comment right here. Kyle, it's just not about winning the game, but how horrible they looked blowing such a huge lead, 21-3. The obvious bad play calling and performance, them allowing a Florida team to go 99 yards. Robert, when you step back and you look at this game, and I understand, you can point to several different things. Let's move to a positive aspect. Was there anything that you saw that that provided a little bit of glimmer of hope as we go to week 4? Was it Jaleel Billingsley? Was it Drew Sanders? Was it the punter? Was there anything that you left that game and you were you were like, okay, well, I might be upset and kind of, this wasn't the game that I wanted, but there's something there's a glimmer of hope.
Oh, sure. I mean, Ryan Robinson did a really good job. Despite the fact the offensive line didn't open quite the holes we wanted to see, he still managed to get 75 yards. And some tough runs. That was a good spot. And Bryce Young handled the crowd noise well. Now, here's this caveat. A lot of that of the bad offensive play had to do with the crowd noise. Because that crowd was just, we never has faced a crowd like that in almost, over 2 years, really. Not since last year's Iron Bowl. Last year, the Iron Bowl in Auburn. There was something that even Mac Jones had to face, 80,000 people against you in a stadium. That was huge for Bryce Young to handle that noise. Because the one thing for certain thing, you're not going to hear as much noise as you are during that time. So you did it, okay, and now you're going to hear it again in Texas A&M and in Auburn. But now you get the line has experience. We're trying to handle it, and I expect to see improvement. Because Nick Saban's not to go if he lets if the team doesn't improve. If Nick Saban's to go, the team's going to improve. And so that's two good things right there. Bryce Young played with the crowd noise, and Brian Robinson did quite well. Of course, he and Billingsley, that was an outstanding catch by him. It looked a lot too as well. Like the previous caller says, in those situations, Bryce is going to have to get into his mind to be able to help the team, help the line out by running with that ball and taking advantage of running opportunities. As we all, everybody keeps pointing out these running opportunities that he has, that he just doesn't take. And I saw the Penn State quarterback, who I don't think is nearly half the runner athlete that Bryce Young is. He rolls out and gets 23 yards on the rollout play when his line breaks down. That's what Bryce, you can do it. We need to see you do it, especially when we're on the road and the things are breaking down. That demoralizes defenses when the quarterbacks do that. And we want you to start demoralizing the other team's defense when you start to do that. There was a couple opportunities down the goal line where, hey, that's a running opportunity there, but you try to throw a high pass to Latu. And it's like, okay, right then I need a little more Jalen Hurts. a little less Mac Jones that situation, a little more Jalen Hurts.
Hey, Robert,
and that's what
Robert, we got to move to the next call, man, but I appreciate you calling in.
Okay.
Please call again next time, Robert from Mobile. Thank you very much, man. We appreciate you. Robert always with some good context, and we always appreciate catching with him. We got a 334 in the queue. We'll get to you next, Mick. When you look at this team and you saw Billingsley, and like I said earlier, I thought that was one of the positives, early on was, that connection from Bryce to Billingsley. I know that there's been a good connection from Bryce to Kamla too, but, it was great to see Billingsley get some action.
Look, the other game that was like this was the Iron Bowl that Cam Newton came from behind to beat Alabama in, right? And Alabama, they didn't make the plays at the end of the game to win. They didn't score those touchdowns. And if they won by a point in that game, I don't think any of us would have cared about how it turned out, right? Because that team would have went on, and who knows how the season would have finished, because they were just as good as Auburn, who won the national championship that year, right? So the bottom line is this, is that you got to win the game you're in. And I talked about this a little bit last night about Greg Maddux telling me, the Hall of Fame pitcher, that some nights your team's going to score 7, you got to give up 6 or less, right? Some nights they're going to score 1 and you can't give up in it, and the way that you manage and the way that you play at the end of the day, all that matters is that you win the football game. And I think that that's why Nick Saban was the way that he was after the game last night. He wasn't ranting. He was talking about the environment, and he knows Florida's got players, and Alabama needs to be in these kind of games, because when they get into one, it's hard to have that experience when all the games you have are blowouts. The other thing for Alabama is that they haven't had a 4-quarter game yet this year. This is the first time. And so to experience that, you have to experience that, right? You have to go through it. I just feel like the offensive line, there's guys who are, waiting in the stables. I don't know how they look in practice right now, but the jumping off sides and the penalties at the line of scrimmage have to end, and they have guys, and I'm sure, that are pushing for playing time. And if it doesn't improve, I would not be surprised if we didn't see some of those guys come in. And then the other thing is on defense, they need to make the tackles, plain and simple. I mean, I was shocked to see the scores that the linebackers got with Pro Football Focus, and they know the game a lot better than me, so you look at those scores, and for Alabama, it's a good experience to go through that. And I've said that all night. They won the football game. Think about how we would feel right now had they lost the game. And then this team's identity is going to be made by how they improve next week and the week after that, and their attention to detail. How are they going to do as far as open field tackling is concerned? Are they going to get better from this experience, or are they going to lose? And I guess we're going to find out, because Ole Miss is coming in 2 weeks. I don't think that Southern Miss has the football team that can beat Alabama, but Nick Saban's going to convince those guys that they do. And then from that point on, Kyle, you got to start thinking about Ole Miss, and that's going to be a game where I'm guessing we'll see College game day there. It's going to be a wild environment. I'm guessing that it's going to be a zoo in Tuscaloosa. And I can tell you already, and I promise you, I've been getting messages today from my friends in Oxford. They're coming. They think they're beating Alabama.
Let's take a next call. It's a 334. Hey, thanks for being patient. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson, Mick Gillispie. Who are we on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Hunter from Alabama.
Hey, what's up, Hunter? I appreciate you calling, man. Thank you for being patient. I know you're on the line for a little bit. Your take on the game, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with Mick's take on the game. I think that, in a way, we kind of maybe needed this. I think that kudos to Dan Mullins for his game plan against us. I think it was a good game plan. I mean, we've always had issues with mobile quarterbacks, and I think that we needed to be shown that, hey, we can be beat just like any other team. And even though we are Alabama, we still have to do what we have to do to take care of business and to execute. I think the execution was the big thing on defense. We didn't execute like we needed to. I think that's the difference in the game.
Well, I think that, Mick, why don't you sound off? And I don't think, the caller is going to be hear the response. But I think that, kind of when we're coasting through some of these comments, someone just brought up the fact, they feel that Ole Miss can beat Alabama. I don't know. I mean, those are hypotheticals. I guess we'll just kind of have to wait and see. But getting back to your take, Mick, I mean, that Alabama probably needed a game like this. They probably needed a game like Mercer, to kind of build for later on adversity. Mick, quickly kind of touch on what you think this team, will really build on from a game like this in all aspects, especially on the defensive side.
Look, I think this is a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, Mick.
You can't hear. Hunter?
Okay. Well, look, I'll say this. I think that this is going to be a good thing for Alabama, Kyle. I'll keep it short. I think that you have to have a game like this. It was Ole Miss last year, and then the first half against Georgia, where it's like, okay, all of it has to come in, and then boom, you take it and you build off of it. That's the good part about this. They won the football game. You know, the crazy thing about the way that it works in college football, which is why college football is awesome, is that the playoff is already started. The college football playoff is the regular season, right? So you lose that game and you're in big trouble in the playoff. Sometimes it's single elimination, sometimes it's double elimination. But if you lose that game, it's tough to bounce back if you're Alabama. The sky would be falling. All of the critics would say that Alabama's done. Forget about Nick Saban. But really, no, they won the game. And if anyone thinks that this team and this dynasty and that Alabama is now, you know, a team that you don't have to play your best game against to beat, you're wrong. I mean, maybe they're going to have some confidence, but look, bottom line is this. Most likely, Ole Miss is going to come to town and take a shoe right up the rear. You know, because that's what the history of Alabama football tells us. Florida had a chance to beat Alabama, and they didn't do it. They got close. And I just think that Nick Saban's going to use this to get these guys motivated and focused on putting when you have your foot on their throat, you got to finish them off. That's the lesson of the day to me.
Hey, Hunter, go ahead and make a final comment, man, on this game and kind of what you feel that this team needs to work on going forward. Specifically, I mean, if you want to make it offense, defense, I mean, go ahead, but give a final take there.
Yeah, just on defense, we just got to be more consistent and when make the right, be disciplined enough to make the right plays. And I think some of this had to do with being at an away game and a packed away game where communication might not have been as good as very good. So I think we'll turn this thing around and. I think we'll be all right. I think we just kind of needed this wake up call, and I'll be in Tuscaloosa next weekend for the Southern Miss game. So I'm looking forward to a home game, and I think we turn everything around.
All right, thanks for calling in, buddy. We appreciate you.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, Hunter from Alabama. We'll get to our 256 in just a minute. We got a 256, a 334, and a 502 on the line. So you guys just hang in there on the line tonight. Got Mick Gillispie on the Sunday Night Call-In Show. We'll probably go, for another 20 minutes or so and kind of dive, kind of finish out, our takes from this Florida game. Mick, as I guess like somehow I became the host here, but why don't we kind of reverse roles and
let me reverse this and ask you, Kyle. I mean, you're doing a great job, man. I mean, like they changed the technology on us. Kyle and I haven't gone crazy. It's the actual technology that we use is different than last year, even though it's the same, right? Kyle, you know what I'm talking about. but really, like, all right. First off, guys, like and subscribe, hit the thumbs up, and know that we appreciate you more than you know for being part of Bama Insider and the Bama Insider YouTube channel. And we love the fact that there's a ton of you from Alabama, and there's a ton of you from across the country and all around the world that are on here joining us. And some of you are going to watch after the show, and you're kind of thinking a lot of the same stuff that we're talking about, and the callers on this show are always amazing. So thank you guys as well for joining us tonight as we break this thing down. All right, Kyle, look, I think that you look at this Alabama win, it's going to be a positive in the long run. I've said that. What do you think?
I mean, well, for the rest of the season, we're going to hear just, about how Alabama should fire Pete Golding. And, every time, it's just going to be like people are going to be calling for Pete Golding. Look, I get it. Like the fans here, they want perfection in every single aspect of, the game, which they should. Why set yourself short on expectations? With that said, I mean, Dan Mullen, he's played, Nick Saban close now 2 years in a row. I think going forward, when you look at Alabama's schedule here coming up, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, those teams certainly jump out. I mean, who knows? I mean, Arkansas, those teams are, may find the right path, but I still believe in this team, and I still believe in Bryce Young. And I think that the maturation as we continue to see him is only going to progress. I am really proud of his ability that he doesn't force passes. Right. He doesn't throw. I think he could have probably thrown one interception. I think a defender dropped it. But other than that, I don't see him make too many bad mistakes. And I think that my biggest concern when I look at this team is probably the tackle position opposite of Evan Neal. I'm not sure why, and look, they have Doug Marrone there. If they're putting Chris Owens and he's the best guy, that's kind of concerning because he's getting beat. And everybody knows that. So I'm curious to see if there's any sort of adjustments on the defensive side. After the first game, people were like, Henry Toto is the best thing ever. He's the best. And then
I still love him.
Yeah, I know you do. And Mick told me that you wanted to play with him. You're like, I wish I would have been on his team. But now, you read the message boards and you read the headlines and people are like, oh, he put Jalen Moody in, do this, do that. Look, I don't think that, this team is going to be derailed from a victory. I think they go in, they beat a top 10 team in the swamp. They came out on top. There's a lot of things that you can learn and you move forward and you dial in for this Southern Miss game. You don't let it be a trap for later on in the season. And, you continue to move forward. But I think that this team is going to be fine. It wasn't the prettiest win. They got off to a hot start. Florida came back. It's part of football. But look, I put out a video earlier today, and I went through the top 10 teams of college football. I get it. Everyone's going to be like, Georgia can probably beat Alabama, whatever. But what other top 10 team is playing through the roof, right? Name it. Oregon and Stony Brook. I mean, that game was close for a little while. Oklahoma, they barely beat Tulane.
Right.
Iowa, are you kidding me? I don't think that, this is a bad thing for Alabama to go in the swamp and win. I still believe in this team. I think they're going to tighten up. This team is not the team from last year. There's different components. This team needs to tighten up, and, we'll see how things go.
Yeah, well said. All right, well, let's take some more calls, Kyle. You got the controls.
How about can you disconnect and switch, and then you take calls so I can take off at the how long? I guess we needed to figure out how long we wanted to go on the show. If you guys want to keep watching, hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. We'll take calls, for a little while here. Well, I'll bring on the next call, Mick. You log back in, and then we'll go from there. Hello, you're on the line with Kyle.
Henderson.
I'm hearing the echo on that side, Mick. Sorry.
What's up, Kyle? What's up, Mick? How you good?
Good, man. Go ahead, man. Sorry to interrupt you. Who are we on the line with?
Hey, this is Sean from Huntsville.
All right. What's up, Sean? Good to hear from you, man. I appreciate you being patient on the line.
No problem, man. How you guys been, man?
Doing great, man. It's really good to rap with you on this beautiful Sunday evening. No rain. Yesterday in Tuscaloosa, I saw people swimming. I saw people kayaking, like in the streets. It was crazy. Like downtown, that's where Trey lives. People were literally swimming, like down on the strip. Like people were in canoes and stuff. It was crazy.
Yeah, up here in Huntsville, it's sort of wet up here, boy. It's going up here big time.
So takeaways, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, real quick. I know you got other callers. Let me start by saying I'm ecstatic with the win that we had. To go on the road in that type of environment is very, very, very difficult. That crowd, shout out to Florida's crowd, shout out to their team, the game plan they had. That crowd was amazing. That was amazing. Anytime you can't even hear the quarterback clap, being that the mic is on the field judge is crazy. That means that crowd was ridiculous. Love that. My old college coach used to say it's better to have an ugly W than a pretty L. So I'll definitely take the ugly W. But I will say, I do have some concerns. It's very uncomfortable to see our defensive front three, not necessarily the front four with Will, because to me, Will Anderson is probably the best player on the team, offense or defense. Will is outstanding, man. He is absolutely outstanding. That young man, to see him being double teamed the whole game and still making plays, I don't think people realize how difficult that is. But to see our front three with the rotation of Justin Bogby, DJ Dale, Byron Young, Phil Mathis, and Tim Smith, to see those guys, it's very uncomfortable to see those guys getting whipped like that, man. That was very, very, very uncomfortable for me to see. see those front three guys getting moved like that. And what it shows me, and I could tell from the scheme that they were running, that with respect, they don't have any Jonathan Allens, Deron Paynes, Quentin Williams, or Christian Barmores this year. And what I mean by that is that one tweener, that one guy that you don't have to pull off the field, whether it's 1st and 10 or 3rd and 8. He can play the run. He can play the pass. I've seen us sub-packaging on 1st down. Like, I've never seen Alabama do that before. I know on 3rd downs, we usually send a sub-package in for down and distance for personnel. I saw us subbing on 1st down, on 2nd down. This was early in the game. So what that tells me is we don't have that one guy that we usually have. That's what made Christian and Quinn and Jonathan Allen and Deron so special. Those guys could beat you on 1st and 10. They could beat you on 3rd and 8. It does make me feel a little concerned that it was, I understand him not blitzing when it's 3rd and 6, when you got a mobile quarterback. I understand you're not blitzing right then, because if you don't get there, the guy's off to the races. The DB's got their back turned. But it was 3rd and 12, and we didn't even try to blitz. We was rushing 3 and dropping 8. That's concerning for me, because when you're a coach and you don't rush in that instance, that's you yielding to the other coach that we don't feel we can get there. We don't feel we can get to your quarterback. And, it was, it wasn't really difficult to do that and to watch with Emory Jones, but it concerns me if Matt Corral's back there, because Matt Corral won't miss the receivers that Emory Jones was missing. It was receivers running open, believe it or not. The Florida quarterback just couldn't really get the ball there.
Mm-hmm.
This quarterback we're going to play in a few weeks, he's not going to miss. So I think we'll get it cleaned up, man. I really, really, really do. I agree with what Jared said earlier, that I'd rather have this type of game early to get, because these are still 18 to 22-year-old kids, man. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you read your own press. I know personally, you read your own press clippings. In this case, social media. You read how good you are, and it makes you, you're not trying to not practice hard. It's just natural. It's natural to go out there and not take it seriously, or not practice as hard as you could practice. But I tell you what'll wake you up, and that's a whole cold glass of water in your face. That'll wake you up, man. When you get beat up like that, and you're going to hear all the negativity, how the defense is not that good, they're going to hear it all. So that's the positive in it. If you listen to Coach Saban, he warned us about this all week. Some of these guys, they have the talent, they're there, but some of these guys are not practicing hard. Some of these guys think it's a game. Well, now you see, if you don't bring your A game, just because you roll that crimson helmet out there does not mean you're going to win the football game. Mm-hmm. But, I'm concerned about Chris Owens, because to Chris Owens' defense, Chris is not a tackle, man. He's a center or a guard. He's an interior player. He has short arms. For everybody that coaches this game, when you have short arms, it's very difficult to keep the defensive end from getting in your body. Mm-hmm. Chris has extremely short arms, but he has really, really good feet. So I understand why Coach got him out there. Mm-hmm. That's going to be a struggle for us, man. That's going to be a struggle for us. I noticed later on in the game, they was having the running back help him out and chip the guy. So that's something we may be able to take advantage of in a 5-receiver set, 4-receiver set. I'm concerned with Mechie. I told you this last year, Kyle, on this very show. I said I'm concerned with John, because I watched Florida's defensive scheme, and they obviously watched a lot of tape on Bama, because they wasn't manning up on Jameis, number one. They was kind of playing off on him, but they was manning up on Mechie. That's to say, we don't think you can beat us. We're not afraid of you. Only 2 teams really played man on us last year. That was LSU and Ohio State, and Devontae had 200 at halftime. No way you can play man on those guys. Mm-hmm. So that concerns me a little bit, man. Mechie has got to really, really, really pick his game up. I think he need to be more aggressive coming out the line of scrimmage. But I really, really, really believe these are coaching points that Coach Saban loves. To win that game on the road with a team that prepared for us the way they did, that's a big thing for us, man. We have an extremely young offense, guys, extremely young. And I think we're going to be fine, man. I really, really, really do. But let me say this last thing. But I keep seeing the UGA comparisons and things of that nature. I will say this: UGA, Georgia does have 95, 99, I think number 88. Those guys are what I call tweeners. They have some defensive linemen that they don't have to pull off the field on 3rd down or put on the field on 1st down to stop the run or to stop the pass. I will say Georgia's defensive front, I think, is a little more aggressive than ours. We don't really have that guy this year, but it's okay. And when you don't have that guy, your middle linebackers tend to get exposed a lot. I've been on record saying, with all due respect to Henry and Christian, I think Jalen Moody should have been playing more. I said this late last year. I really, really, really feel like Moody should play more, just based off the fact that he's been there. He's a veteran guy. You know what I mean? And he plays well. I don't think he has the foot speed Christian Harris had, but I think he's just as physical, if not more physical than Christian. But I think we'll be fine, guys. I think we'll be fine. To win that game means a lot, brother. It does. So everybody keep your positive hat on. I'll keep mine on. I think we'll be just fine.
Hey, Sean, thank you so much, man. It's always so great to hear from you because you understand the game. You appreciate the game.
Yes,
you're a voice of reason. And I love kind of your, just like the coaching breakdown of it. So every single time you call, we really appreciate it. And by the way, like if you're out there and you want to call in, you know, make sure your connection sounds like Sean, because Sean, I don't know if you have Verizon, AT&T, whatever it is, you might even, I mean, because your connection is clean, it's perfect, and you got, you know, just what we need, man. So we'll let you go, Sean, but thank you so much, man. We'll talk with you next time.
Man, no problem. Thank you guys for taking my call, and as always, I will continue to support.
Thank you so much.
Great call.
Sean from Huntsville. Hey, Mick, I'm going to log out of the system. You're going to log on and, you know, take the rest of these calls, you know, as we kind of move through. So I'm out of the system. Actually, let me, I'm going to disconnect. So you should be able to, you know, log in there. You can still call in 205-850-0883 is the call line. My name is Kyle Henderson of BamaInsider.com. He's Mick Gillispie. He just disappeared, but he will be back. We are not magicians. We just cover Alabama Crimson Tide football and getting your take on Alabama versus Florida and kind of the overall aspect of this Alabama Crimson Tide football team after 3 wins. I think that, you know, there's a lot to improve on, but I think it's exciting. You know, I think that, you know, this team has a lot to build on. And we knew that going into this season that there was going to be a lot of offensive components to play to replace. And I want to see, you know, and you said this before, and I really agree with you, Mick, is that Jace McClellan is the best back on this team. Yeah. And when we say that, that's not disrespect to Brian Robinson or to Trey Sanders. I know Trey didn't even get to play in this game, right? I just think that Brian, for whatever reason, even though he does run downhill, I just think that Jace has a little bit more pop to him, and he catches the football so well out of the backfield. Mick, were you able to log into the system?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm in there now that you're out. So, yeah, let's well, you're getting out of here, Kyle. I'm going to do the rest, you know, get the rest of these calls and talk a little more football. But look, I mean, his ability to catch the ball and then what he does in the open field is amazing, right? So, look, guys, let's get into these calls right here. And, you know, some great takes there from Kyle. I know you've been holding on. So I want to get to your calls before we get out of here tonight. Who's this and where are you calling from? Thanks for dialing into us tonight. Who is this?
What up, Mick? Jeff.
Hey, what's up, man? Good to hear from you.
Nothing. I'm sitting here. I'm listening to everybody talk. I'm seeing all the comments. Hey, man, we won the game. I mean, I know it wasn't a pretty win, but like the dude said, it's better than you know what I'm saying? I don't know. But we won the game, and I think we can get better. I know we can get better because it's Alabama and it's Saban. And the way that he runs that coaching system and the players, because he is the man, he is the one that leads everything. I think we can. I'm pretty sure we'll be ready for Ole Miss. Definitely have to fix some things. But 2 weeks, I think 2 weeks is long enough to do it, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, look, I've been saying it all night. I mean, like, I think that when you win the game, you find a way to win. Next week's a new week. You know, you focus on those things that were exploited and you try to get better. You know, like, I think everyone is definitely going to be a lot more focused to try to improve going into the next week. But look, they won the football game. And I mean, even though it didn't feel like a great win, it's still a great win. Look, this is 8 straight against Florida. 8 straight.
Yeah.
This is
Only
you know,
11.
they've won 12 of 14 games in the swamp over in the course of history. Alabama finds a way, and I'll tell you what, that's we got to be positive about that. I mean, can you imagine if the score was 32-31? How would everyone feel today?
Real bad. But that's another thing. They said we couldn't win in the swamp. They said that. They said Alabama. I'm not talking about the media and all that. I'm talking about the fans.
Mm-hmm.
Fans said we couldn't win in the swamp, and we won in the swamp. Yes, like I said, it was ugly, but we won. So now we can move on because we're 3-0 and they're 2-1. So if they lose another game, they're done. They're out. The CFP is not going to look at you after 2 losses.
Yeah,
2 losses. That's it. They're not going to. It's over. So basically, Alabama is still strong. They can still do what they got to do.
Yeah, no doubt.
I'm gonna put something else out there. About this time last year is when everybody started talking about Alabama and saying that, well, Alabama's defense is blah, blah, blah. Okay. What we do against Georgia? We beat them. Everybody said we were going to beat Georgia. We beat them. Done. All right. After that, Alabama started rolling. We had Harris, we had Smith, we had Jones, and we had Leatherwood on the line. But this is a different team. This is a young team. This is a team that doesn't understand what's going on. But they've got a cold slap in the face on this game.
Right.
Like I just saw. Hey, wake up! It's time to wake up and get this in your mind. You got to practice. You gotta run the fundamentals. You got to look at your playbook, and you got to be more serious about this team because you got to gel. You got to come together, and you got to make sure that when you play Ole Miss, that you don't look like that when you play Florida.
Right.
When you play Florida, you don't look like that. You look like a different team, and that's exactly what I'm going to predict. I've been a Bama fan for a long time. I actually called 2 national championships, but everybody said I was crazy, and we won those national championships. I believe in my team. I know what they can do, and like I said, this is a young team, but I know that this is a cold slap in the face, and it's a reality check for them. This is one for them to say, okay, now we know what's up. We know we can lose, or we can almost lose, which we're getting, which is a really good thing. And they can learn from that, and they can move on from that. Replacing the people on defense and stuff, we got people to put in there. All they got to do is put them in there. There's people that's on the other that's down a little bit talking about, hey, let me play. I was seeing them out there on the sidelines like, man, I wish I was in there, man. I wish I was in there.
Yeah.
Man, come on.
Hey, look, I think you're right. Yeah, a great call too. I think you're right. I think that's
always, man.
You're right on the money. I think that's what the bottom line is that they're on defense. They're going to have to get some more guys in. It's time to start letting some other guys play because they were exhausted.
Get some healthy guys back, man.
That's right.
Get some healthy guys back. Get them back on the line. And when we play Ole Miss and when we show everybody with the real Alabama, they'll see. They'll know what's up, and they won't be talking about Alabama and won't be worried about that Florida game no more because Florida's got to play Georgia here for long.
Right.
And Georgia's got a team.
Yep, that's right.
Georgia has a team.
Yep.
Their offense is coming along, and they need some players, but Georgia's got a good defense, very, very good defense.
Yep.
And when they play against Florida, it ain't going to end well for Florida. So I'm just saying our team is young, and they're going to grow, and they're going to learn from this, and they're not going to make that mistake again, and they're going to listen to their coach. They're going to read their playbook, and they're going to do what they're going to have to do to win the game. And that's what Alabama is known for, and that's what we got to do. So that's it. We play Ole Miss, we're going to be all business.
Hey,
all right, roll Tide, baby.
Roll Tide. Thanks for calling in. Okay, get back with me next week. We'll be setting up for the Ole Miss showdown. Going right back to the phone lines again. I want to get all you guys in before we close it up. I know Sunday night football is coming on, but as we're talking tonight, Alabama did win the game 31-29, but a lot of concern. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Mike from Kentucky. How you doing, brother?
Hey, what's up, man? Good to talk to you again.
You there?
Yeah, can you hear me? Mike, can you hear me? Mike, you got me?
Hello?
I guess you can't. Mike, I can hear you, but I guess you can't hear me. Can you guys hear? Can the rest?
I'm not hearing you, brother.
Yeah, I don't know why. Man, I don't know what's going on here.
Hello? Yeah, this is Mike from
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, no, I can't hear you.
You can't. Yeah, just go ahead and talk. If you can hear me, just go ahead. Just go ahead and shoot off. What do you think about the game?
All right, man. You want me to just give you?
Do it,
You want me to just give you my take on the game?
please. Yes.
You want me to just give you my take on the game?
Yes. All right, last call. Yes. I'm gonna have to go to another call if you don't. Just got to go. We can hear you. All right.
All right, brother. Look, if Slade Bolden catches that ball in the end zone, this game's on ice. I don't think this game was as close as it looked. Yeah, we need a little bit more chemistry on the O-line. And middle linebacker is looking like the hardest position to play because I'll tell you what, Toa, or whatever his name is, looked like Dalen Moses out there. Our middle linebackers need to learn to sit at home and wait for them crossing routes and quit worrying about trying to make tackles out on.
All right, guys. I think we dropped that call. Sorry. Let me go back to the phone lines again and see if we can pick things back up. Who's this and where are you calling from? Okay. I don't know. I'm not sure why the thing's not working tonight. So look, I agree with Mike and what he was saying. Slade Bolden dropping the touchdown passes has been killer for us. I'm not sure what I don't really know. He's got great hands. He's a guy that can catch the ball. And it's one of those situations, and Mike brings up a great point where, you get into this game and it's like, those are the plays that he's got to make. And if that catch is made, it's a different football game. I'm sure that, that going into this week in practice, there's going to be some other guys, and thanks Devin for the super chat. There's going to be some other guys that are going to that maybe should get some of that playing time. Because if you can't catch the ball and you're a receiver, then you know what I mean. Then it's a tough job for you to play. But RTR, Devin, and I'm not sure what's going on with the call system tonight, and I do apologize to all of you guys because I've never really experienced this before. I'm going to try one more call, and if it doesn't work, then I'm basically going to throw this. We're just going to have to call it a night here, and try to get it figured out. But the thing's just kind of been acting up all night long. So let me see if we can get another call. Who's this? Can you hear me? And where are you calling from? Okay, yeah, and I'm not hearing anything here. So, look, I do apologize. I'm not sure what's going on with the call system right now, and I wish I knew. We'll get it figured out for next week. Now let me try one more thing and see if this will maybe this will get it going again. All right. Let me try one more call here. See if this works. Hey, can you hear me? Who's this and where are you calling from? Yeah, I'm not sorry, guys. Look, it's just not working. I'm not sure what the deal is, but look, what we'll do is we'll get this thing figured out, and we will talk to you guys next week, and we'll be ready to go. I think it's something with the technology here where we've just it normally works, or I can take a timeout and try to get it figured out. Why don't I do this? I'll take a timeout. I'm going to put this banner up and see if I can get it figured out and jump back on, because I want to get these calls in and and kind of finish our conversation tonight. So just give me a second. All right, guys, I think I'm back. Look, as you hang out with us tonight, know that I'm working really hard to try to get figured out whatever the issue is. But it's great to have you here on the call-in show every Sunday night. Kyle Henderson joined us for the first part of it. I'm going back to these calls again. Mike in Kentucky, if you want to ring us back up, I'd love to hear the rest of what you had to say. And if any of you guys I tried to talk to and it didn't work, I think this is going to work right now. All right, let me see. This is my last try tonight. Who's this and where are you calling from?
This is Daryl from Huntsville.
Daryl, all right. I do hear you, so we figured something out here. Quickly.
Yeah, man. It just, it happened.
Yeah, man. I mean, technology. I don't know. Kyle came on and knocked me off. I got on and knocked him off. But we were just so antsy to get into the conversation about the game and talk about everything today. So, we're fired up about it. Give me your take on the game.
Yeah. Well, go back to the start of the season. All the preseason prognosticators, they were all saying this is going to be one of Alabama's great defense. And I was like, wait a minute. These guys are the same guys that struggled. They played some solid games on defense last year, but for the most part, they struggled. And they had their moments. So I was trying to figure out what reasoning were they saying this is going to be one of the great defenses ever. I just don't see that because, of course, you lost your corner, who was the defensive player of the year, Surtain.
And Job has always been, in my opinion, kind of shaky. Let's just be honest. And then, of course, we talked last week. I told you I was concerned about the offensive line. And I'm still concerned about the offensive line. Ekiyor had a bad game. I've seen enough of Owens. Owens has got to go. Hopefully the coaching staff will look at the film, assess it, and if they got somebody to put in there, put him in. Put J.C. Latham in, or whoever else is the next guy on the depth chart. And also, if you notice, Florida played a lot of zone on us in the second half because they started holding receivers and the refs weren't calling it, and everything was contested. Mm-hmm. We should have had a lot of flags, but of course they didn't. But I'm concerned about the fact until we get a dominant, somebody that starts to dominate. And you also said last week about spreading the ball around. Well, that's good. But when they clamp down on you, got to have a guy that you can go to.
Right. And
every time Mechie made a catch, it was pretty much contested.
Yep.
And then Bryce Young, I said this last Sunday, I'm going to say it again. Number one rule at quarterback, take what the defense gives you. You had a touchdown. Why are you trying to throw the ball? There was a touchdown on the goal line. The ball he threw to Latu, Latu stepped out.
Yeah.
The guy ball deflected.
Yeah, just run it in.
That was a touchdown.
Just run it.
If we score that touchdown, that's a whole different tenor in the game.
Yep. I agree with you.
So we just got to go back to the drawing board, get our best talent on the field, get them some experience, and let them play.
Yep.
Because if we go out here, if we play the same way against Mississippi, we will get beat.
Yeah,
there's no doubt about it. Because we got dominated on both sides. We got their defensive line stalemated us virtually every time, and our defensive line was just, I didn't hear them names after warm up calls, pre-game warm-ups when they called the starting lineup out. Young made a couple of plays. DJ Dale made one play. For the most part, they were giving up 7-8 yards a carry and missed tackles. That's effort. That's something we should never have to worry about at Alabama. Is effort. We had to miss at least 30 or 40 tackles. I know.
Yeah, look, I know. I mean, like, I couldn't even count them, but I mean, Florida made us look like we normally make other teams look. They got on a roll. They started to believe, and they started making plays.
Sad about it? Florida had nothing but the option, and we couldn't stop it.
Yeah.
When we can't stop an option team, something is wrong.
Well, I mean, but you don't see that a whole lot. I mean, look, if they tried that again, we're going to see it next time, and we're going to blow it up, and that's going to be that. I mean, like it's one of those things that in college football you do it because these guys don't see the option that much. Like it's a game plan that worked Saturday, that worked yesterday. It's not going to work in the future. They'll figure that out. At least I would think they would. Because you take the quarterback, I'll take the running back. Like that's it. Get to the football.
Yeah, assignment football. Our linebackers had a horrible game. I'm expecting them to. Tua had a horrible game. He was out of position. He missed tackles. It was just a comedy of errors. But the main thing I think people are overlooking is that we won the game.
That's it. And that's what matters.
At the end of the day, win the game.
Yep. I agree.
Anything else? Bear Bryant, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, just give me your last thought. But, I mean, I agree with you.
My last thought is this. Bear Bryant always said this. You got to have some schedule luck. You got to have some injury luck. Mm-hmm. Now, the schedule lines up for us because we got to go to Texas A&M. And I'm really glad about that because I want to see how we're going to respond when we go into another hostile atmosphere. Texas A&M is geared up. Of course, they got Arkansas. We'll see if what Arkansas's got for real.
Yeah.
Texas A&M is geared the whole season to beat us.
They have.
So when we go out there, let's go out there, take their manhood from them early, and put them in the child seat in the back of the car. Let's drive back home.
Yep. Hey, I'm with you. And Texas A&M's not going to have they're not going to have their starting quarterback. He fractured his ankle,
right.
And so they're not the same team. I'm telling you right now, the Ole Miss game.
And let me make one quick last thought. I'll let somebody else get in since the phones are working. I know somebody else wants to get in. Why don't we develop since Bryce is the smallest quarterback for these quarterback sneaks, why don't we develop a package for Jalen Milroe?
Yeah.
A wildcat package for him. Because they're telling me he's the fastest guy on the team other than the transfer from Ohio State. And he's 6'3", solid muscle. So why don't we develop a package for him for short yardage? What do you think about that?
I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great idea. Look, I watched the Penn State-Auburn game, and I'm watching the trick plays that Penn State ran, where the running backs throwing the ball, and watching some of the other games and seeing some different stuff. Like, I think that it would be a good idea for Alabama to come up with something different. To come up with something where you take advantage of a skill set like Milroe, who's your third string quarterback, and you might never see him. So I agree with you.
Right.
I think that's a great point. Awesome.
Well, all right, man. Roll Tide. It's always good to talk to you. And we'll see you on the other side.
Yeah, let's talk next Sunday night. And I appreciate it, man. Roll Tide right back at you. And another great call. All right, let's go right back to the phones now that we got this thing up and going again. Who's this and where are you calling from? You there? You got me?
Oh, yeah. This is Mohammed. I'm calling from North Carolina.
Okay, yeah. What's going on? Give me your thoughts on the game.
So, actually, I was concerned about yesterday's game. I don't think our defensive lines are doing good. But my question is, do you think we'll still be number one come tomorrow on the ranking?
That's a good question. I think so. I mean, I don't think you drop Alabama out of the number one slot because they struggled in a win at Florida.
Georgia is doing great.
Yeah, Georgia's, let's look at Georgia's body of work, okay? And this is a good point that you're bringing up. All right, first off, Alabama beat Miami, who we found out now that Miami's no good, right? They got whooped at home by Michigan State. So how impressive is that win? They beat Mercer, and now they went on the road and they beat Florida. And this is the same team that won the championship last year, and they have, I guess, the nation's longest winning streak. Then you got Georgia, who beat Clemson head-to-head, and then I forget who they beat last week, but then this week they beat UAB, and then they dismantled South Carolina, right? Well, the thing is that their whole season is, okay, well, we beat Clemson. Clemson yesterday was fighting at the end of the game to keep Georgia Tech out of the end zone, and so that win to me isn't that impressive, right? So, I mean, I just think Alabama's number one. Like, Clemson's got some issues too, and their issues are a lot worse than Alabama's issues. First off, they lost a game where they didn't score a touchdown, and this is a team that we're all expecting to be in the college football playoff. So, look, Alabama's going to be number one. Now, the margin between them and the rest of the pack's probably going to get slimmer. Some guys are going to pick Georgia number one in the poll. Some coaches are going to pick some of the other teams. Oregon, they're going to get some votes. They're undefeated. The writers out in the West Coast, they're going to want to have those guys in. So, look, the bottom line is this. If Alabama takes care of business, they're going to be there at the end, right? So I don't think that it really matters if they're one or not. But I honestly, just for your question, yeah, I think they're going to be number one.
Also, we need to take care of Mississippi next week or Saturday comes, because last year, I think Mississippi, they did a great job when they played us. I mean, I think they were the best team that played Alabama last year. And this year, I think they're doing great. So we need to be careful.
Yeah. No, you're right. And look, they're coming in with confidence after the way that they performed last year against Alabama. They've absolutely just worn out the teams that they've played. They took care of Louisville, who might be a little bit better than I thought. they absolutely killed Tulane. And Tulane, I mean, look, they went to Oklahoma and hung in there with the Sooners and had a chance at the end of the game with the football to win the game, So Ole Miss's offense is clicking on all cylinders. And I guess for Alabama, it's a good wake-up call going into that game. You hate to look past Southern Miss, but I mean, look, let's be honest. Southern Miss isn't going to beat Alabama, but Ole Miss has a chance to do that.
I was talking about Ole Miss.
Yeah, I know. Anything else before we get to the next call? And again, thank you for calling.
Thank you, and I hope that we'll do great playing Texas A&M.
Yeah, we will. Well, look, Roll Tide, call in next Sunday. We're going to do it again then, okay?
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, my friend. All right, let's go back to the phone lines again. I'm trying to get all you guys in, and I know that we're going a little bit longer than we normally do, but we had a little technical difficulty. Now we're back on track again, kind of like the football game yesterday. We're trying to finish with some momentum here and win the night. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Mr. Ed. I'm calling from Atlanta, Georgia, Nick.
Hey, how's it going?
All right. I saw you at Innsbruck back during the spring game down there. I came and talked to you. But
oh, yeah, that's right. How's it going? Yeah, thanks for calling in.
Yeah, man, I've been listening to you. It's first time caller for me, but man, I watched that game and it was really unlike Alabama. It's so unlike the character of their team. I watched. I can't believe this is our team, and I thought I was in the twilight zone, Mick. It's crazy, but I agree with I'm ready to replace some of the offensive linemen. I want to see some offensive linemen replaced this week. Ecor is the number one I would do, but also Tua on defense. He looked like he was lost out there. Man, that was he didn't know where he was, or he's getting late to the tackles, or getting like he didn't. No, that's the worst game I've seen him play, and I just don't see how they can hang against Ole Miss if it's going to be a continuation of the same thing, except a more potent offense. It appears from what I saw from Ole Miss last night. And quarterback's a lot better. Corral's a lot better than. But I have to give Jones credit. I mean, he drove. When's the last time you saw a length of the field drive against Alabama? That's
yeah.
I can't remember when that ever happened.
I know. When he got out of that, he got that third down conversion. I was like, "Are you kidding me right now?" Like I don't know. Like I'd seen the first two games that Florida played. Emory Jones did not look good. Everyone was talking about Richardson and his speed, and that he was a guy that should be in there. But Emory Jones played a great game. He was prepared and kind of wanted to prove everyone wrong, and I thought he did that. I mean, he proved that he can quarterback this team. But it's a moral victory. They didn't win, and now they got to go back the next game, and they're playing Tennessee next, and they got to deliver against Tennessee. They got to win that game, and then they got to win the next game. It's for Emory Jones in Florida, losing to Alabama by 2 points is still losing to Alabama.
Yes. Yeah, now I give Florida credit. Mullen had a great game plan. He's whittling away at Saban's team, and looks like he'll get that victory if it keeps improving like they have. And I give him a lot of credit. And the fans down there, they came together, and that the noise did bother Alabama greatly, particularly in the second quarter. They were getting loud, and it was very inept. I know they're having trouble hearing the clap count, so they've got to be a little. They were a little unprepared for that, or knowing that was going to happen. That our lack of preparation, I think, or completing preparation, it was skills on doing that. But they've got certainly a lot of corrections to do this week, and I'm sure Saban is addressing that even on the plane ride home. I'm sure he has a plan to rectify these things. So good thing we have Southern Miss this coming week to regroup a little on. But Ole Miss is coming. They're expecting to win that game. And there's big confidence over there, and rightly so, Mick.
Look, I got to just comment on a couple things. I want to hear what you think too. How weird is it that Ole Miss and Arkansas right now are two legitimate teams in the West? I don't take LSU seriously until Ed Orgeron's gone. I just that they just don't play good enough football to win the big games, right? After Arkansas just went in and kicked the teeth out of Texas, they did the same thing this week. They're proving that you're going to have to really reckon with them. And my whole argument about them was I just want to see you guys do something before I go ahead and anoint you a contender. Hey, that's been done now. Taking care of Texas. And that's just in the West. I'm looking at Ole Miss, and I'm saying, look, if Ole Miss beats Alabama, say they come into Tuscaloosa and they beat Alabama, Lane Kiffin is going to score some points. I'm curious to see how they match up against Auburn, how they match up against LSU. Mississippi State lost this week. They made a stupid mistake. I don't know if you saw it. There was a kick and they let it sit on the ground and a guy just picked it up and ran it for a touchdown. They were all like dancing around the football thinking that the ball was dead. And that's why they lost. They lost by the same score that Alabama won by, 31-29. They lost to Memphis. They didn't get the 2-point conversion that would have tied the game, but they're dangerous. Texas A&M without their starting quarterback is a wounded animal right now. It's an animal that's legs broken and someone's going to beat them. And it could be Arkansas. Their offense just doesn't look good enough. They have a good defense, but the West is wide open if Alabama is beaten by Ole Miss. That's my point. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Alabama is going to be focused. I think they're going to go into that game and they're going to crush Ole Miss like they normally do. But with that said, Ole Miss is going to have a lot of confidence watching that tape, knowing that they're going to be able to score on Alabama, which is the thing about the SEC is that every game is tough except Vanderbilt, or it could be. Yeah. It could be. It's just a tough conference. But this year's crazy just watching Arkansas and Ole Miss as two teams that you just don't want to get into a dogfight with.
All right, I agree. Ole Miss has to be licking their chops watching that performance yesterday, and I agree. Lane Kiffin he's going to ring those points up. He didn't take his foot off the accelerator last night. He kept pouring the points on. So That's the same way his game plan with Alabama. And Corral is the real deal, man. That guy is courageous. He's the real deal. A lot better quarterback than Jones is. So. Well, they got their work cut out for them on that game coming up with Ole Miss. And well, Mick, you got a great show. I listen. I'd like to get our friend Max Howell's take on Sunday night so we can get him plugged in. And I miss hearing his analysis. And but you guys do a great job. I always like every time I click on and. Of course, I am subscribed, and I encourage everyone to do that because you got a quality operation there, Mick.
Thank you. Yeah, look, I talked to Max. We're going to get him on the Friday show, on the one that we do Friday night here and then Saturday. I think probably this week. We've been kind of back and forth with schedules, but I love Max Howell. I mean, I was at Alabama as a student and loved the show and still think he's one of the best. So. Yeah, Max is awesome and love it. We don't do the podcast now. They kind of things have kind of changed where, eventually we're back to doing them. But this year we're not doing the podcast that way. So I don't have the Max and Mick podcast right now, but it doesn't mean it's over. It just means that we're on a pause right now. But I love anytime I hear Max, he's awesome, man. He's a great guy.
Yeah, well, I listened to your tailgate show last Friday from Florida, so I'm an avid listener. I was wishing I could be down there. So.
Yeah. Well, we're going to go back. We're going to be back there for the I think the Ole Miss game, And maybe, yeah, I think that's what we were lined up for, either that or Texas A&M, but we're going right back there again. So, any of you guys that are here and you want to hang out, we record that show 6 to 8 on Friday. This week we'll be at Innisfree in Tuscaloosa, which will be a lot of fun. And then, and then the Ole Miss game. Oh, no, wait a second. The Ole Miss game's at home. So we're going to be in Tuscaloosa. We'll be there at Innisfree again. So isn't the Ole Miss games at home this year, right? Or are we on the road?
It is. It's at home.
It's at Tuscaloosa. Yeah. So we'll be there.
T-Town.
Yeah, in T-Town. Okay. Yeah. So
when I say T-Town, people ask me, well, what does that stand for? Tuscaloosa. I said, well, that's one thing. It stands for Titletown also.
It does. So. It does. And I'm hoping that Deontay Wilder helps that as well when he has his fight in October 9th. Another Tuscaloosa guy fighting Tyson Fury. And totally different sport, but still part of the Titletown feel, right? I love when we have the national champ and the boxing heavyweight champ in the same city. Love that.
Okay. Well, I'm going to the Texas A&M game. I've got my tickets. I'm planning to go and okay, Mick, I'll be listening.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it. And call back in. And to all you guys, if you were there when we had the technical difficulties, I apologize. And I tell you, the technology is the technology. I do my best to try to figure it all out. And I think we did get it figured out tonight. It was awesome hanging out with all you guys and talking about Alabama football. We'll do it again next Sunday. It was great to have Kyle on today and hear his take. I know he was, pretty fired up after last night's game and wanted to kind of do the call-in show. And, and look, at the end of the day, guys, Alabama won the football game. And I mean, I know that it doesn't feel like that right now. And you're going to wake up tomorrow and the Skip Baylesses and maybe Paul Feinbaums of the world are going to be like, raising concern that maybe Alabama's in big trouble, but listen, they're not in big trouble. This is, you're going to have games where it's close. You're going to lose some games. But the fact is you look over the long body of work is that, the one, like Nick Saban wins at an 80% clip, you just can't win every single game. However, Alabama has won every single game this year. So they've got Southern Miss coming up on Saturday. Tomorrow night, we'll do Monday Night Quarterback. We'll talk to Andrew Bone. We'll get the latest on recruiting. We'll have Tony Tsoukalis on, and he's our beat writer. He'll help break down, the vibe for Alabama going into this week's game against Southern Miss. I can tell you that Nick Saban's going to be laser focused on Southern Miss. And then after that, he's going to be laser focused on Ole Miss. But I think that he'll have the team's attention. And I got a feeling that they're going to know how to stop the spread next time around. But to all of you guys that called in and made this a great show again tonight, I appreciate it. Again, like and subscribe. And any information that is out there, recruiting, football, any of that stuff, you can get it at BamaInsider.com. And you can always come here to the Bama Insider YouTube channel for all of our shows. Kyle will always post the latest Nick Saban press conference. If the guys talk, we'll have those interviews as well. And sometimes, depending on the matchup, and if it's interesting to, if it's of interest to Alabama fans, we'll even put the visiting coaches on sometimes, or the opposition coaches. So for everyone with Bama Insider, thank you guys for being part of our show tonight. And we'll do it again next Sunday night at 6 o'clock. And keep your head up. Roll Tide. It was 31-29 Alabama.